Yep. What's up? Sorry, says hi too. Kind of an unplanned build, definitely an unplanned build, unplanned video, but I ran into a situation recently where I needed a light. And I have strips, I have heat sinks. It's not going to be the exact build that you guys have seen a lot of times in the past, but it's going to be a nice square 330 watt build and be really nice for a 3x3 ideally. 3x3, 2x really strong, and a 2x2. So I think you guys get a kick out of it. I have pretty much everything kind of pre-assembled and there's not much to it, so it'll go over really, really quickly. Let me just pull up chat here and see what's going on. Hey, Woodsy. And we'll be good to go. See who joins. I don't expect that many people to join now, but hi, Woodsy. I hear you down there, big guy. I know. I'll say hi. Oh. Okay, go do your thing. Yeah, third time's a charm. I finally got back to the old YouTube. The first one wouldn't let me select the camera or my mic input. There was a bunch of shit going on, but nonetheless, we're here now, and we have everything we need for this build, except for technically we don't have a driver. But we're gonna put the body together right now, and like I said, you guys can join along, see how it goes. So all we're gonna be using to put this build is. This will kind of be your guys in the public first look at the Pacific Light Concepts Heatsinks. And I'm using a 2-foot version of it. You can see it right here, guys. It's got a T slot in the top, and the boards fit nicely in the channel there. Definitely can take these up to the 1.9 amps, so they do a lot better than the Heatsink USA profiles. Slightly heavier, but definitely worth the weight and a little bit of price increase. But so we're going to be using 8 of these heat sinks and 8 of these boards. I have all of them except one already thermal taped on here. I figured I'd do a little bit of thermal taping with you guys, slap it on, and put it together. Right here, I had to disassemble one of my little play lights we have. This is just a 50 watt strip. This is one strip on that same heat sink we're using. On that same heat sink with a ERP PSB 50 driver on there. And it fits nicely on that T slot on top, and you can see you have a nice compact single bar, and they're working on making some 100 watt versions of these that we can get a full 4-foot version on it. So disassemble this real quick. Not much going on there. Put that right out. All right, so for the frame, instead of using 80-20, which a lot of people complained is too expensive or too hard to get, which really isn't, we're just using some basic angled aluminum from Home Depot. You can get this, I don't know, it's like $9 for a 4-foot strip. I got one 4-foot strip, cut it in half. I did some spacing here, and I have enough for, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Somehow I ended up with 9 holes on here. I only needed 8, but we're going to work with it. Nonetheless, I've got 8 holes with screws and T-nuts already attached here. You can see screw and T-nut right there, screw on top, T-nut underneath, and that's going to slide right into the heatsink, and we'll fasten it down. So I've got 2 of these frame units, 8 of these heatsinks, and that's essentially the whole build. Then we just power it up to whatever driver we need. So, like I said, I got one more strip I need to throw some thermal tape on, and that's what we're going to do right now. So give me some room here so you can see it done. So I just pull it taut across there. Then you'll have a nice bond. Take a razor blade and trim off the excess. All right. Yeah, I'll probably use an HLG 320 1400 for this. I have 3 of them sitting right here, but they need it. They're RMAs, they're warranty issue ones. So need to send them back. They'll send me new ones, and I will get this light up and running. For the meantime, I might power it on a 260 watt. But like I said, this is something I didn't really plan on. All of a sudden, it was just like, hey, I need a light. Oh, fuck. What do we do? Let's build something. So that's what we're doing. So once you have the strip on, you press any little air bubbles out. Once you have the tape on the strip, press any little air bubbles out, peel it off, and grab your heatsink. Now it's quite nice. Let me try to get this so you can see it, but space it out with everything going this way. Yeah, they're back in stock. They've been back in stock for 2 weeks. Thousands have sold in the last 2 weeks. So if you guys are just joining this stream and you want some of these photo booth strips, head to the website right now and grab them. They're online in stock. You can do the same build in a matter of days. Well, roughly the same build. You won't get these heat sinks. If that's what you're asking about the heat sinks, because I'm missing chat. If you're asking about the heat sinks, they're not in stock yet. But you can do the same build with the Heatsink USA profile. So now we have 8 strips. And 1 frame. So what we're going to do, now, you know, it's not ideal to set these on their face. The connectors do keep them elevated, but it's not ideal. So, you know, try it at your own risk. Do as I say, not as I, or do as I say, not as I do. Let's get that one. Let's get there. There. That one there. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is honestly roughly what the light's going to look like. It's not too much rocket science after this. It's more about finagling than fucking rocket science. The T-nuts are just so perfectly fit in here, the little T-nut part of it, that it's like you gotta just slide it on gently, but come on, you fucker. Don't you hate when they're just like a little off? Where'd I put that screwdriver? Gotcha, bitch. Starting to mess my shit up. It's like once you get one, you start moving it around, the other ones pop out. It's kind of a, like I said, it's a little bit of a finagling contest to get these T-nuts to sit in there, but Once they're in, it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. All right. One side done. All right. Come to you guys. Try something. I think I have. Let's not tighten these down all the way. Let's give some play. Now we'll put that in the middle. Which, hey, if you actually wanted to bring these into the middle, that would work for it just fine. But if we give these some play, we can do the same thing on the other side that we were doing and pull them a little longer through, so it's easy before we tighten them down. See how we're pulling them through just a little bit so they don't slip off and cause you all this trouble that I'm having right now. And as they learn as we go kind of build. All right, beautiful. So that is essentially everything put together more or less in its frame. Now you can see we can either, I'm going to have these out towards the ends. These rails out towards the end like this so I can put some hangers on them. But as you guys can see, you could also slide these up the middle and you could drop a driver right on here like this. And then you have more of like a fluent spidery looking light, which actually it's not too bad of a look, honestly. I was thinking of doing an off-board driver, so I was going the other way. But if I was going to mount an on-board driver, I think this might be how I do it. And you'd have it elevated above the heat sink there. And then, you know, you just have all these sinks as one, tighten them down, be no problem. So get a flush piece of something here. So actually, I want to do it. We're going to pick this up. I want to work on you guys, if you order these from PLC when they come in, they'll come perfectly flush cut. I had to grinder these, so they're a little janky on that side, but the flush side over here, let's get the unit going. Bring the rail back. Okay. Everything's flush. Let's tighten it down. All right, sorry if I'm not paying attention to chat. I'm just doing my thing, so I apologize. I'll try to get to you guys in a minute once we throw this thing together. Honestly, I'm almost done with what we're going to be doing here today. I just kind of want to give you guys a visual of what you could build, because all I've shown and what a lot of people have copied is just the reference design, which is a great design, especially if you're going larger scale. It's a little more usable there. But this is for someone who's got a 3x3, a 2x2. Something like that, more of a square situation, smaller unit. A design like this, gonna kill it. You've got just a little more spread out than the normal board patterns you'd see. This is a 24 by 24 inch fixture. You could make it 36 by 24. You know, kind of 24 is your low end on the strip length here, but anyway, like I said, I'm gonna bring this out to the end here. I don't know about the R spec. I mean, it's a little low wattage in my opinion, that whole setup is, but for what it is, it's great. But it's not that going to be that much crazier than the V2 they already have out as far as production capabilities. You guys can watch my side-by-side of red versus white, but that's only for PLC and the strips. Can't necessarily translate that over into everyone's red-white combos, although they will attempt to. They, you know, I'd like to see some tests, but no, it's going to perform just fine. I wouldn't say it's crazy above anything else they've already put out, though. So if you already got like a V2 or something, you are good to go. So there it is. Damn. That's the frame. Look at that. Perfect 24 by 24 inch unit, more or less. I think it's actually like 23 by 24. Solid, good rigidity. Need to tighten these down just a little bit more here. And then ideally, the most, like I said, I need a quick light. I'm not going to have too much of an issue with this as it is once I put the hangers on and tighten it down. But if you want to completely eliminate any possibility of this, I don't know if you can see this right here, but with any kind of situation like this, you can get a little bit of a diagonal tilt. Simply just tightening it enough will be enough. But if you wanted to avoid that entirely, what you would want to do is you would want to put one piece of aluminum cross member from here to here, and you want 2 screws in it. 2 screws this way, one this direction, one this direction. Not two linearly, but 2 side to side, and that'll keep the fixture as a whole from doing that. But it takes some good amount of tweaking. Once you have these tightened up securely as they are and hung up and you're not fucking with it too much, you shouldn't have any issue of kind of like that diagonal bend. But just a heads up if you have any of those issues, because sometimes what I let slide or what other people let slide, other people don't want to. So, all right, beautiful. Now this could be ran a few different ways. As far as the frame, this is what it is. We have 8 strips on here. You know, we have the potential of around 800 plus micromoles. Maybe actually you do a little more if you drive them harder or not. But long story short, you could do a plethora of power supply options here. Now the go-to, the easiest and probably the most efficient use of the strips and the driver, the most reliable way is going to be the HLG. Hey, Soy, how you doing? I hear you guys out there. It's going to be an HLG 320, the 1400 HLG 1400C or C-1400. This is going to be constant current, higher voltage, and it's going to allow you to do a single series run of all these boards. And that's the same reference design that we did on the longer linear 2-foot version. This is the same thing, just instead of going from board to board, you just keep looping around or going side to side. So that's probably the number one and what I will ideally use. But you could also use like an HLG 54 volt version. Now, if HLG made a 27 volt version, I would say use that, but they don't. They make a 24 and a 30. So you kind of have to do the series parallel configuration to get the best use of any kind of like fixed voltage driver there or lower voltage driver. What you would have to do is run 2 of these boards in series, so you connect positive to negative, and then down here you'd then have a 54 volt circuit that you could then parallel off as many times as you need. So whether that be a 600 watt build or that be this 330 watt build, you can do that. But again, like I said, for ease and simplicity, we're just going to be making one continuous series connection, positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative. And that's it. And then I'll run a wire so the driver is in a convenient place here. But it is just that simple. No, strips will always be 2 foot. Strips will always be 2 foot. If you want a 4-foot strip, then you can put it on a 4-foot heatsink. So here's a 4-foot heatsink with 2 boards in series on there with 1 connector out the center. And this is how the boards are going, or the heatsinks are going to come when they come in. You see there's a connector out the center. You have 2 boards in series and a positive and negative, making this a 54-volt strip, 4-foot strip, all as one. It is 2 boards, but you're getting 54 volts, and you can run it up to 1.9 amps. You can get 100 plus watts out of this bar if you really push it. A 5x12, you need to go, if you go back, if you're on my YouTube channel, you can easily go back and look at every update I do from my garden. Look at the lights I have in there, and then go back and look at the reference design. You go back on my channel, it's the #1 build video on here. It's the Photo Boost reference design build. And what it shows you is this exact amount of strips, but take this side and add it to here. So we have four 4-foot strips making a 330 watt build. If you want to cover a more like 1,000 watt comparable, you're going to literally double that build up. You're going to use 2 drivers and 8 heat sinks, 16 strips. That's going to be your 1,000 watt or DE comparable build. And for the guy who's asking about his 5x12, those can easily push out to 5 foot plus, and you're looking at 3 of those 660, 50, 60 watt units up over your 5x12 there. Yeah, man, Cronny, I'd love to come back. If I do, I'll pack this shit up in my suitcase. My suitcase will be like, I'll try to come in summer, so all I have to bring is like trunks and a bunch of strips. Oh, I really like this unit. This thing is nice. Really, really nice. I like square units. I'm a sucker for square units. They always look really nice to me. I really like this one. In addition, like this is a 330 watt unit. If you wanted to take 660 watts and pack it into 2 foot by 2 foot, that's doable. You see there are some space in between these heat sinks. You can pretty much run them edge to edge, no issue. And if you really wanted to get fucking crazy about it, I was debating on what I was going to do with this build. I'm not going to air cool it in any way, but if you really want to get fancy with it, you can throw some 2 fans or 3 fans across a complete 660 watt build on a 2 foot platform instead of a 4-foot platform. The airflow would be great. It would run it, just a touch over ambient. It would be really good, super quiet. Maybe I'll show that down the line. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get out here and show a square unit a little bit better. Like I said, I don't have a perfect driver for this, but we can. Let me find some wire strippers. Okay, all I have is red wire, but I usually only use black, but just in case you didn't know, wire color does not matter. So how do I want to show you guys this? I guess we'll go over there. All right. So let's wire this up, or at least get it ready to wire up to an HLG 320. I'll try to fire it up here. If worst case scenario, I can drop one board out of the string and fire it up with a different driver, or have 2 drivers. Plenty of ways it can be done. All right, beautiful. So what we're going to be doing is positive, negative, all the way down the line. Let me give me 2 seconds here. I'm literally doing this on the fly. So let me think about how I want to figure out where we want the wires to come out at and how we're going to do that. See if we go negative to positive, 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 and we were negative. Beautiful. That's how we're going to do it, just like that. So we're going to run this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, bum, and then we're going to run a line from this last one all the way down, but behind this so you don't see it, to this last one, and then we're just going to continue on. negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive. And that's going to work out great. And that'll stick us out right in the center, which we could stick, we could grab a power cord and we could run our driver externally. Or again, like I said, we could just strap the driver right on here, because in addition to having the rail to do it, technically I do have T-nuts on M3 T-nuts on these heat sinks, and I could strap the drivers right to the back of the heat sinks. I'm not a fan of that, but could be done. The heat sinks, they're on a boat. So, I mean, ideally like 3 weeks. Heat sinks will be available on a boat. Although, I should have said this at the beginning. Someone gave me a heads up, and they're using a T-nut, not a T-nut, excuse me, a aluminum extrusion. So the 80-20 extrusion, the 10 series, they make a three, I don't even know what it is, but there's a flat side, and then there's 3 T-nut sides. So obviously the flat side on the bottom, then you have a T-nut side on each side, as well as the top. It weighs about twice as much as the Heatsink USA profile. And the guy said that it cooled better than the Heatsink USA profile. So I have some ordered. I just ordered a few. I'm going to be testing them out because obviously they're highly accessible. Surface area is not going to be the way they cool so much as just using thermal mass. But with some airflow, they should work. So anyway, for the time being, if you guys want to flirt around with that, I was told it works pretty good. Don't take my word for it 100% until I test it and show you. But if you want to guinea pig it out and test it out yourself, like I said, the 80-20 extrusion with one flat side allegedly can work. We'll be testing that out. I don't doubt it would. Honestly, these things don't need all that much heat sinking. It's only once you get to like above 1 amp that they really need it. So yeah. All right. What do we got here? Get some kind. So we're at like. Beautiful. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 6. All right. Okay, so we're going to start right here. We're going to, I got a positive here and a negative here, so we'll leave this positive open and that negative open. Beautiful. Positive, or excuse me, negative to positive. Bam. Negative to positive. See, the beautiful thing about the 2-foot builds are you can use one side. That's where with the parallel series build, you kind of got to use both sides. And that's why we did it up the center on the heat sink, so it's a little easier that way. But with the 2-foot builds, you just hang out on this outside edge here and just jump from board to board. Extremely easy to wire. So again, we're going from, there's positive and negative on each side. So negative, positive again. Now remember, this one's going to go all the way back down there. So we're going to start again. Right here, again. No. All right, negative to positive. Negative to positive. Bam. Okay, and if we go up here and we take this, okay. All right. Lastly, we're going to run this from, what the fuck? Something happens when you fucking give yourself reject boards. It's okay. We're going to go from this one, positive all the way down, behind the frame, up, and ta-da. Oh. Positive down there, negative, beautiful. Okay, and last but not least, our final connectors, which I can color code because I do have enough black wire to do that. So we have our positive lead to the driver there, and a negative lead to the driver right there. Ta-da, bam, wired up. Good driver. All right, you guys are going to help me test out this. I want to see if these drivers are actually dead. They were given back to me by the assembly house saying DOA. Sometimes they say DOA when it's just a dimming issue. Like sometimes the dimming circuit won't go fully off or it'll flicker, which like, yeah, I meanwhile should replace it. But for the time being, sometimes I just, I need those drivers. So let's test out this driver. Okay. I don't expect this to turn on right now, so this isn't a failure if it doesn't turn on. This is, like I said, allegedly a dead driver, but it's the only 320s I got in the house right now. So without going down to the factory and grabbing more, this is what we're trying. Nada. All right. Well, they were telling the truth on that one. Give them that. All right, one truly failure. Okay. All right. Need a positive there and a negative there. Make sure those dimming leads aren't connected to anything. And let's see what we got. Okay. Okay. Nothing. All right, fair enough. They were telling the truth. You always hope they're not. You're always like, maybe. Maybe. Okay, that's fine. All right, well, instead of a 320, I think we're going to have to do, whatchamacallit, do two 120s. I have an 85. Fuck, see, I'm so unprepared for this. This is one of the problems when you're just like, I need a light, I need to build something, boom, and next thing you know, you're fucking building shit. Dollar for photon. You're gonna probably work out a little bit better with the strips. They're basically you run them a little cheaper with the heat sinks that are available versus the heat sinks that are available for the for something like a board. But they're pretty similar. Everything's using about the same components these days. Samsung's either Cree or Osram Reds for most people these days, and so it's really just an issue, I guess, of price and form factor. What works for your budget and your application. What you will realize with strips is the ability to spread the even coverage out. I mean, it's pretty obvious. That's exactly what you'd expect from a strip build, but it is pretty serious over the concentrated sources. Even this fixture, if you have 600 plus watts, 500 plus watts coming out of a 2 foot by 2 foot fixture, it's tough to have true even light distribution in a in kind of like a near field situation. So anytime you're really under 3 or 4 feet away from the fixture, you're going to start to have uniformity issues. Not major issues, as you know, because we've been using point source lights for a long time. But the more and more you can spread out that uniformity, the higher your crop production is going to be, even with the same photon output, because your photon absorption is so much higher. So that's the benefit of the strips. That's where they come in, and why us and a few others have really, stuck hold onto the. Nice, Cronny. There's about 500 boards left. There's about 500 boards as it stands right now with the XPE Photo Red, which is basically at where we're running them, highly competitive because everyone who's running the Osram is running them harder than we're running the Cree, so it works out okay. But Cree just came out with the new XPG XPG3 high efficiency Photo Red, and it is a serious jump in output over this generation of Photo Reds, as well as it's a substantial jump over the Osram. Not substantial, but enough to say it's well worth the price and getting them. So anyway, what I'm getting at, Cronny, for you and anyone else who's listening, we do have 500 boards left, or probably less than that now. Couple hundred boards left with these, and then after that, the next order is going to contain the XPG3 red, and that's kind of the equivalent of putting about another red and a half on the board. The whites are not going to change at all, but we're going to get more red output. So the spectrum is going to shift slightly, but I think it's worth the shift. I'm also working on some experiments with a couple different base whites to shift that and kind of basically bring it back to where it's at, or even shift it a touch cool. I'm working on some things with that. But before anything happens, the XPG3 will make it into the photo boost here fairly shortly, along with maintaining the Samsung 301Bs for a little bit. And then eventually we're going to be probably moving over to the Cree XP, or the Cree 5630 high efficiency, which is their highest efficiency mid-power chip, which competes with this 301B head-to-head, no problem. It's just a 5630 package instead of a 3030. So for how this is going, a bigger package is just going to be minorly beneficial. It's not going to change anything in any major way, but any slight benefit possible, such as a bigger thermal footprint that offers, the better in such a high density linear form factor like this. So that's what we're going to do in there. Here, let's I'm not even gonna fire this up. That's the funniest thing. Build this whole fucking light and not even fire it up for you guys. Oh, okay. What if? That's a good question. What if? I don't see why this couldn't run. All right, where to put that? So I have an ERP driver that's programmable. Am I out of USBs though is the question. Ah! And you thought I was making this shit up, that it wouldn't work. All right, beautiful. So what I have running here is a ERP CDB 260 watt. It's capable of it's programmable driver, so I can really have it programmed from anything from like 860 milliamps all the way out to 1700. But at 1700, it won't give me the voltage I need for this, so I'm running it. I think I can probably push it to around 1200 milliamps off this driver and give myself, yeah, I can do the math. It's probably around 1100, but I have it at 1050 right now, and that is working just fine. The other benefit of this driver, believe it or not, is app control. The nice thing about ERP is wow, these are fucking bright. We're gonna have to turn this off. This is not gonna work for long. You know what? I know what we can do. And we have our dimming leads, 0 to 10. We're looking for gray and purple. Beautiful. What is gray? Gray is negative. Purple's positive. Awesome. Okay. So I'm sure you guys can see shit on that for there, but nice. So we have the ERP programmed in there. We have a dimmer on there that we can. Per 50 gram heatsink grams of aluminum. I could have just weighed it. I think it's 700, and so, let's do. I can give you a 4-footer, and we can cut that in half. I want to say they're like 730 grams for the 4-footer, something like that. $730 grams, so cut that in half. What is that? 350, add 20, 370 grams maybe? 350 to 370 grams, somewhere in there for a 2-footer. Oh, that's dim. I like that. Just any kind of shades. There's no UV in here. There's no UV in here. There is 1% beyond 700, which really is like 704. You know, it's like right at 700 that they're counting for that. So to protect your eyes, all you need is anything that's going to lower the light levels. If you want to have something that's, you know, good on UV protection, that's great because there is some high energy blue in here, but it's technically not going to be blocked by that. But, you know, want to end that thing. Anything that's just going to neutrally density it out is going to be what you want. It's nothing in here that's harmful. It's just the sheer amount of light that's blasting at you that you want to protect yourself from. Gene, do I ship to Canada? No, I do not ship to Canada. I don't ship outside the US. But there are plenty of third-party shipping services that you basically say, hey, I need this forwarded to my address. They have a US-based address. We ship it to them. All is good on our end. And then you get your package. It might cost a little bit more to ship it, but regardless, I don't have any real major, my account doesn't work that, I don't get huge discounts on international. So it's going to be the cheapest option, and it happens instantly. There's no issues. You just go online, order, boom, boom, it shows up at your door. So that's how a lot of customers are getting boards and strips internationally. So I know I have some people in the UK, in New Zealand, in Canada. That's how they're getting strips. So if you see someone in your country who, like, hey, they don't ship to the US, how'd you get them? Unless you're Crawny, they got them from a third-party shipper. Yeah, this could work really well on a 2x2, especially ran softly. It would be incredible. I'm going to be running it in a over a 3x3 roughly, but should be no issue there. These are 301Bs. There's no difference between 301B and the 301H. They're the same diode. The only difference is Samsung's putting an anti-sulfurization coating on what they're calling the 301H, so it has longer longevity in high sulfur environments. Is that needed or not is up to, you know, I haven't seen any issues with it. Fluence has had some reports of things, but I think that had to do with their formal coating more than the sub. Anyway, there's a few things. So for now, we buy the 301B because it's readily available and you can get good bins. The H is not as readily available and it's just not worth it. Eventually, like someone said in here, we are going to be moving to the Cree high efficiency 5630, which is specifically referenced for horticulture use as well. And Cree has one of the Cree has the best quality overall, and I'm kind of everyone knows I'm pretty much a Cree fanboy, but it's for good reason. They're always in the top of the line of performance, and if they're not, they're close. But their quality is bar none. I've never had chips so, like, you shouldn't be dropping your chips. You shouldn't be like busting your chips or doing anything stupid with them. But when shit happens, Cree diodes have always held up incredible, whether it be XPG3s and PhotoReds or, you know, CXBs. I compare them to other chips that I've used, whether they be LGs or Osrams or we go COB route, Bridge Slux, any of those. None of them have had the like solidness and like longevity and reliability that a Cree diode has had. And again, I'm a little bit of a Cree fanboy here, but nonetheless, anytime I have the opportunity that they're going to step up and perform at that top level, I'm going to give them the business that way. So the Cree diode I'm excited about. Like I said, it performs neck and neck, right head to head, photon for photon. There's no difference between top in these and top in these. And so that's kind of where we're shifting. So it can be a all Cree platform. And then the world can go at it as, here you go. Here are the big powerhouses. You're going to have some all Samsung designs, but notice it's funny. You got to love how Samsung lights will never use Samsung reds because they're just, it's not worth it. They're all using Osrams. But anyway, you're going to have the Samsung base lights versus the 100% Cree versus lights coming out soon. Really, it's not going to make any difference if you put 1600 photons of Samsung down and you put 1600 photons of Cree down. You're going to get 1600 photons worth of result in the end. Like, that's how it's going to come down. But the bottom line is you're getting a good product from multiple suppliers now, not just one ruling the industry. And in the grand scheme of things, that should help out with pricing and a few other things a little bit too. I don't know what you're talking about at dim down. It's getting warm. I'm kind of lost in chat on that one, but But the one thing I will say is what we as humans deem as warm and what we feel as warm or hot, and what LEDs think of as hot or warm are two totally different things. You know, like 55C is like 135 degrees. Before I talk out my ass, let's just get an actual number here. 55C is 131 degrees Fahrenheit. 55C is incredibly cool for an LED. If your LEDs are running at 55C, you have a fantastically cooled light. Your LEDs are going to last for frickin' ever, basically. And or what's that? They're going to last forever. Blah blah blah. Oh, and they're going to be highly efficient if they're ran that cool. But to us, if you touch a piece of metal that's 135 degrees, it's fucking hot. It's going to burn. It's going to be like, ow, that's hot. So that you just got to kind of have that in your mind of what's what is running cool for a human versus what is running cool for an LED fixture. So there is that. What's up, Woodsy? How you doing, big guy? Yeah, the current run. There'll be this week's update is going to be interesting. We'll see. Tell us about the reason you chose the spacing on this unit. Well, I had eight heat sinks in mind over a 24-foot span. I got stoned and started measuring and somehow put 9 fucking holes in here because I'm a retard sometimes. Actually, don't use that word. I hate every time I say that. It's anyway. I fucked up. I put 9 holes in here, and as you can see, there's this big gap in the middle. Now, being a concentrated light, this gap is actually going to help out with uniformity. It's going to work out great, but it was not by design. This was just like, again, stoned. I need a light. Here we go. Somehow I ended up with 9 holes. I only needed 8, but at least that works out symmetrically wise. I didn't have like 10 holes and only needed 9, and they'd be off center. That would just be, I'd have to cut one end off. Anyway, that is how I ended up with the spacing for this unit. So, you know, I don't have par numbers for this off the bat. It's going to be intense. It's going to have a good footprint all the way out to 36 inches, but it's going to also be intense in the center. But I chose this unit because I need to cover X amount of space with X amount of watts, and this footprint is going to do that the best. I have about 34 inches to work with, so this will do great. No, they won't change. The price will stay the same when we go to full Cree. And it'll stay the same when I get the XPG3 reds in. I am going to bite the bullet. And so we're taking, the reds cost twice as much. I'll just say it there. I mean, you know, it's not the end of the world. There's only 4 per board, but like the new XPG3s are twice as much as the XPEs. Like I said, it's a solid bin jump. It's worth it, and I also want it because not only is it a bin jump, but it'll also allow the boards to run better at higher currents because the XPE has a max current of 1,000. You can run them at 1050 and they'll be fine. But the rest of this board can get pushed beyond what we claim as 1900. 1900 is really the limit for the reds. The whites have a little bit more headroom after that. So long story short, once the XPG3 goes in here, it'll allow the board to go all the way up to 2100 milliamps. It's not it's not a huge increase, but it allows a lot more driver options and a few things. So I think people will be pretty into that. And I'll be testing out, like I said, that the aluminum extrusion, the T-slot extrusion with the flat side. I'll be testing that to see if it can perform thermally. And then that gives accessibility to Canadians. That gives accessibility to a lot of things because boards Canadians are having issues from what I see. Like, yeah, I won't send you boards, but boards may make it over there, but like to ship heat sinks, drivers, all this shit, like I got to ship it to me and then I got to ship, it's not price competitive to do that. So anyway, if there is a T extrusion available in China, or even Alibaba's got them out the ass, it'll just be a lot more accessible for worldwide builds, and then we can, go from there. This is up for grabs. This is ideally going to be, so if you guys are just joining us now, we kind of jankily built this light over the last hour or so. And it's going to be around a 300 to 330 watt. It's the same as the linear build. It's just we took half the linear off and moved it next to it. Kind of how we did this. So this would be around 330 watts, 1400 milliamp drive current there. So not pushing them too hard, be really efficient. It's going to match all the lights in my room. And it'll be controlled by Trollmaster as well. Yeah, everything's shipping by the post office. I was shipping by UPS, but they're just not worth it. I kept getting robbed in shipping because everyone chooses flat rate. So you can ship them UPS, but honestly, the shipping department's basically just shipping everything out USPS, no matter what you pick, until you complain. So just be honest with you guys on that. But yeah, you can go back and watch it if you missed it. Yeah, there's thermal tape on here. It's the usual build, nothing crazy. I'm pretty sure you guys can just rewind right now and go back, and you don't have to like wait for this to be over to go back if you want to. That's cool. This has nothing, no smells. All the rosin's over there. And they don't get shipped out of here. They get shipped out from the assembly house. Damn. So you guys will see this. I guess that is it. I really don't have too much. I was kind of enjoying answering some questions. I don't know how many people jumped in here over this time, but I think I'm going to shut her down now. The idea of this was not to show you the perfect. I mean, I show you how to wire it up all in series. That was no problem there. I hope this isn't the ultimate build guide. Again, this was just kind of me happening. Like I needed a light. I had strips. I had an idea. Let's get to work. And in a matter of probably an hour and a half, this thing was built, including fabrication. Little fabrication, the drilling of these aluminum angles. Hell, even if you include Home Depot's like a mile away from me, so it's fairly it's an extremely simple build. You're just slapping strips down, throwing some current at them, and they will be off to the races. Again, the 320 HLG 320 H-C1400B is the perfect driver for this setup, but you can do this anyway. You need more wattage, you put a bigger driver on it. You need less wattage, put a smaller driver wattage on there. You need to run lower voltage, we can run a series parallel configuration. So go back in this, and I kind of talk about it. But if you don't know all that, HLG 320 H-1400B, and you're done. Follow the directions. So I'm gonna shut this down. You guys will see I got to do some filming in the garden tonight, and this will pop up on that update and all that kind of good stuff. So so stay tuned. Peace.